Hey guys, welcome to the last Rascal reviews for Superhero Month. And today, doing something different, something I've always wanted to cover, the Disney XD series, Motorcity. And covering me one last time is Mama Entertainment's for July.
Hello!
Yes! This is something I always wanted to cover with her because it took a while to finally get to showing her the series because I have seen it a few years ago. We finally just sat down 1 month and said, okay, let's just watch this every day until we finish it. And we did.
Yes. And I had been waiting and waiting patiently. And finally the wait is over.
Yes.
And I can say I was not disappointed.
Yes. But before we continue, be sure to like and subscribe for notification updates on regular videos and Superhero Month reviews and the rest of the Superhero Month videos before we end off July. Woohoo! So, yes, finally, you got to see Motorcity, and it's one series that you've been asking to see for so long. It used to be on YouTube in a very weird format, but it was removed years ago. And Disney does not have it on Disney Plus nor Hulu. The only other way to see it, aside from the site some people go to, is if you pay for it on the on-demand service and pay for the whole series. We weren't doing that, so we found an alternative. Well, okay, you know we're joking. Of course we paid for it.
And now we own it. And now we can watch it anytime.
Yes.
I wish we owned it physically, but alas.
Yes, so unfortunately there is no DVD release of this series either. You can't really watch this anywhere without paying for it digitally, which is insane because you got people that were wanting to see this and Randy Cunningham and other shows.
Unless you were smart enough to download them from YouTube when it was available and make your own disc.
Right.
And if you were smart enough to do that, let us know in the comments.
Right. And for those who don't know, this series was created by Chris Pernonsky, who you may know for doing Megas XLR and maybe a couple other projects. The show aired on Disney XD. It had 20 episodes, and it follows a group of...
Beavis and Butthead to America.
Oh my gosh, and that too. And it's about a group of drivers, or they call them burners, who are sort of like a freedom fighters type group in here, who rebel against Kane, Abraham Kane, who wants to make a new version of Detroit, has built an entirely new futuristic version of it over the old Detroit. And he's doing his best to flush out everybody who still lives underneath him, refuses to live under his rule. Mm-hmm. So that becomes really the plot of the series, to find a way to take Kane down, but still save the people who live in his version of Detroit called Deluxe.
And it was interesting. Now for me, it started a little slower because I wasn't familiar with it. But by the time I got past the 3rd episode, yes, I was understanding the story itself,
right,
getting used to the characters. And what was the biggest disappointment for me is when you said, okay, we're watching the final episode. And I'm like, but I've just gotten used to them. That's right. It. Yeah. No second season. And that was the biggest disappointment, that I could not continue this journey with them.
Right.
That Disney was too dumb to renew it a second season.
Yeah.
Or short-sighted or cheap or whatever their excuse is. There's no reason this show shouldn't have gotten multiple seasons.
Yeah.
It's just a disappointment.
It is.
I just am disappointed, and Disney strikes again.
Right. And for me, now some people may disagree, and it's okay, and I haven't seen every single show Disney XD has had on there, just maybe heard a few of them. For me, this was probably the last cool action show Disney had on their block. After that, it became a certain theme that they wanted for the shows to be less action-oriented, less mature themed. They wanted to specifically focus on a younger teen or kid demographic rather than older teen, or try to get different ages. Mm-hmm. And this was the last of those types of shows, because we then started to see a lot of other shows started to be canceled, like Randy Cunningham. Mm-hmm. I think Kick Buttowski got canceled from what I've heard. Penn Zero had just rushed to an end and just made a conclusion. Star ended up later ending and looked rushed again, badly. And now we've got a whole new set of shows. Owl House, of course. All these shows end up just getting this just hurry up and finish treatment or just straight up cancellation. And unfortunately, Motorcity was the same victim of that in trying to hurry and establish a new way to have the channel.
Around the time this came out, it was from April 30th, 2012 to January of 2013. The shows you were mentioning, it was kind of the brand that Disney had.
Yeah,
and it's almost like
the
someone
channel
said, you know what? I don't want this brand anymore.
Yeah,
let's
I think
go
so.
and degrade and downgrade and make cheaper things and get rid of this quality programming because we don't pay anymore. And this was a joint production between Disney TV and Titmouse.
Right.
And you know Titmouse from Vox Machina. Also, I think they did Randy Cunningham.
Yes.
Same
And so,
look.
yep.
Titmouse is known for doing great animation. And I think that probably was the problem. They did not want to pay for top quality animation.
Yes, because this was animated fantastically. It looked different
Even
from everything.
Afro Samurai.
Yes.
Afro Samurai.
Yes. And it looked different from everything else they had on the network and just what was on in general. It had its own style, its own soundtrack, its own flashiness and color and characters. It was very unique amongst the channel, and it's just so sad that it's gone. And you have the team and people behind it trying to get it back, but knowing how Disney likes to lock on and hold on to copyright, right now it's not likely.
I think another thing that stuck out to me while watching it is the most successful animated shout out or reference to Fast and Furious franchise.
Yes.
Better than the Netflix series that was made, which is crap. But this was more like, this was an ode to the Fast and Furious saga.
Yes.
And they did it fantastically. You were engaged. You had developed characters, a great storyline, great guest voice actors,
Yes,
a great
absolutely.
voice acting cast, great animation.
Yes.
There was nothing that could have been better except it was longer than 20 episodes.
Right, because I actually thought it was 26, and when we look back, like, oh, it's 20, so we're done even sooner. And the thing about these episodes is that they're so good, you don't even feel like you've been watching 20 minutes each.
It's true. Yeah.
Because there isn't a long-standing arc aside from them trying to take down Kane, but the episodes they have that either focus on that or their own side story episodes that do something else entirely, they all end up being entertaining. And what I also think we missed out on is that season 2 is probably going to go into more of the characters themselves, because there were questions that they put in that didn't get answered. Like, you had Red, who was after Mike Chilton because he blamed him for the destruction of his home and had a big grudge against him, but you never found out who Red was. It was like Red X of Motorcity.
Yes, that's what we thought of as soon as we saw the character.
Yeah, and we never got to see who he was. You just knew he was someone in that building, and that was it. You also didn't get to see if Julie would ever tell the Burners that Kane was her father, because you knew she wouldn't tell the dad that she was a burner, or he would find out, because they always kept kind of leaning towards that, and then at the last minute it would still get away with it. But I kind of thought they would maybe go into the next season, she would be revealed to one side or the other, or save it for our grand finale. And then the third would be, I would have loved to see how all the Burners came together, because they imply that they all didn't meet at one time because Dutch came in separately. So I kind of like the scene how after Mike abandoned I'm sorry, I was about to say Deluxe. And that's the name of the play. Let's say character. He abandoned Kane and went on his own. I kind of wanted to see how he ended up meeting each member, and they all formed this group together to fight against him.
Now you're saying this, all I can think of is Scooby-Doo doing this version of the series.
Oh my
I don't know why it came into my head while you were talking, when you were saying what you were saying.
Oh my gosh.
But it would be great to see the Scooby Gang do this and each have their own vehicle. Of course, Fred still would have to have the mystery machine.
Right. Hey, and Chuck could be Shaggy. He screams enough for it. Oh, man.
This was a great show. I really enjoyed it. I did not expect to enjoy it as much as I did. I did not expect it to be as well written, the episodes.
Right.
I didn't expect to like the characters
Because you
immediately.
got into it pretty easily. I think it's funny stuff you just kind of grasp onto despite how weird they are.
And I also liked her friend Julie. She fit right in.
Yeah.
And then when they had the extra characters coming in towards the end, where they were trying to give, let me get his name right, because He's not Texas. Dutch. Dutch, a girlfriend.
Yeah.
And everything was just fitting, and it just
expanding
worked.
it.
Right.
Yeah.
It just worked, and you were getting these new characters, and you like the characters. You know, sometimes it's a Poochie situation where you get these characters, and you're like, oh.
Right.
But that's not how I felt watching it. Every time there were new characters, they worked. Even the Duke of Detroit, voiced by Dee Snider, I was so stunned when you told me.
Yes, he'll
Crazy. You said, let's see will you recognize him. And then I heard him. There are other members of the band I would recognize, but Dee Snider was not one of them.
Oh my god.
And when you told me, I was just, oh my gosh.
Yes.
He was perfect.
Yes.
It worked so greatly.
He's so crazy.
Yes. So it was just fun. And the cars, too, having the assortment of the different vehicles.
Right.
And they all weren't carbon copies.
Right, I do like that.
The only thing I didn't like in the intro, it looked like Disney saying, make some little kitty versions and insignias that you'll never see again because you want it to feel like it's more for kids. And it doesn't even fit in the intro. So if you cut that part out of the intro, it's perfect.
Right, and I never realized that they didn't really use their little logos in the show outside the intro. You had Mike's with the 8-ball burner symbol, but they didn't really use anybody else's in there. And I just didn't like, well, why did you make these if they weren't going to be used? Well, now we know.
This is Disney, and they wanted to be more for kids.
Of course.
It didn't work. It should have just been left out.
Right.
That's one of the few things in here I did not like. That stupid little insert with those insignias. And you can tell it was a different animation style.
Yeah, just for that part.
Fit. It's like they just cut it and put it in there.
Right. And my other thing that, well, it didn't bother me, but I think it was absolutely hilarious, is that yes, they have their ships and will there, won't theys in this series. And for once, you're not going, oh, here we go. You're either laughing or you like the idea, or you're actually into it. And they write them all where it's compatible or it makes sense, or you just kind of laugh at the idea. There's never a point you're going, oh gosh, why are they putting this in here? Please get over it. Not one time they do it. And the biggest one, which is really the main one, and pretty much everyone, including Deli, because we know you're watching this, is into this with Mike and Julie. In case you didn't know, they were a ship.
I'm like, how could you not know? I remember you mentioned something about it, and then
it had been years since I had first seen it, so my mind was a little fuzzy on it. Like, were they together, or were just people shipping them, or what? So I was like, well, we'll find out in here.
I mean, to me, it was obvious, but there was one particular episode where they had been captured, and they were locked up together. And when she leaned on Mike, I said, look, if you don't believe it's a ship, it's a ship now. They just showed you by what they were saying to each other, what they did. They're a freaking ship. It's Sylvain's all over again.
Oh, yeah, there you go. They're just friends.
No, they were not friends. And also, when Julie told her when they had a falling out, when she started hanging out with this girl,
you thought Amazons, yeah.
And Julie said,
what was her friend's name? Shoot, what was her name? We know who she is. We know Dana Davis did the voice, and we know that she didn't like being in the old Detroit because it was, I guess, not Claire. Thank you, Claire. Sorry, it's like, wait, what was her name? It just had it. Okay, go ahead. What was Claire saying?
And they had the episode where she started hanging out. Julie started hanging out. Not Julie.
It was Claire with the Amazons.
Forgive me. Claire,
it's okay. Thank you. Okay.
And she told Julie, you know, once you met Mike, everything changed. So there's your big clue. They're a ship. They're not just friends. Because if they were just friends, Claire wouldn't be saying, when you met Mike, everything changed. I said, there's your proof. You have not one but two instances of proving they were a ship.
Right. And again, I would have liked to see how he met each one. I especially want to see how did Julie end up joining. Besides Mike, literally, I kind of wanted to see how she decided she didn't want to work with her father anymore and was secretly trying to take him down with them. I really wanted to see that because I think where we lose our minds.
What I did not know or understand is that they were teens.
Yes! They all were teens, like probably close to hitting 18. But yes, they were teens.
Their designs, they didn't look like teens, so that's what threw me off. But then it's like, oh, they're teens. Okay.
Yes.
So their teen version of Fast and Furious.
You're right. This is the real Fast and Furious animated series.
Yes.
No offense if you like the one on Netflix.
Okay.
No, you didn't. So, thank you so much. I am really happy that you finally got to watch it. After so long of telling you, begging to see it, you finally got to see it, and we finally got to cover it together.
I'm so happy. Would you like to go over the voice cast? Please?
Sure.
Okay. We have Reed Scott is Mike Chilton. Nate Torrance is Chuckles.
Oh my gosh.
Kate Michucci is Julie Kane.
Screaming all the time.
Kel Mitchell is Dutch Gordy, and that was great.
Oh
I
my
knew him
God.
immediately.
Yes.
Jess Harnell is Texas, who I did not recognize because he didn't sound like any other character he's voiced.
Right.
And all he reminded me of was Kronk
Right.
and Toto in JJK.
Yes.
Brian Doyle Murray is Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
Dana Davis is Claire.
Yes.
Jim Cummings is Dr. Hudson.
No
Bumper
surprise.
Robinson is Rayon, which I thought was funny.
Right. Right on.
Roshan Fagan is Dar Gordy, Dutch's brother.
Mhm.
And that was an interesting episode.
Mm-hmm.
Amy Garcia is Tenny, and who Dutch fell for and
Yes.
went to date. Jennifer Hale as Foxy. Now, she
Oh
was
my-
the leader of the Amazon.
Yes, that was her.
And then Mark Hamill, of course, as Abraham Kane. Lorraine Newman as Kaya. Dee Schneider as
Just-
the Duke of Detroit.
yeah,
He was
just
perfect.
Big stars.
Dave Wittenborg as Cyborg Dan. Eric Layden as Red. And then you had some other guests that weren't as impactful. Not that they weren't good, but those are the ones you remember.
Right.
And then their cars actually were specific models. You had Mike and Chuckles' muscle car, Mutt.
All right.
And then you had Julie's 21st Century Police Cruiser known as 9 Lives.
Okay.
And you had Texas's black and red race car called the Stronghold.
Right, look like a
But I thought
NASCAR.
he should have had a pickup truck.
Oh my gosh.
Dutch is white and purple. It was a mid 21st century hot rod called Whiptail.
Oh.
And Chuckles had a blue car that he rarely drove, the sports
Because
coupe,
you're right, because he couldn't
called
drive.
the Blonde Thunder.
Oh my gosh.
And then, of course, other people had cars. You had the Sasquatch for Jacob. You had the limos, and you had Red Car, which was Red's car.
Red car.
But this is a great show, and it deserves all the love it has. It got wrong so badly.
Yes, they were wrong.
Disney, you're the villain in this instance.
Right, but it would be nice to see if one day, outside of Disney, Motor City could return, whether as its own independent thing or another station or a streaming service. It would be great to see these characters return and probably have a conclusion to the story. And don't rush it. Don't just do episodes about current events. Don't change everybody to fit modern audiences. Just leave them as they were and finish the story where they defeat Kane. That's all I'm asking.
That would be fantastic. We would love it.
Yes. So thank you so much for joining me for this review and for all my reviews for Superhero Month. You're probably wondering why Motor City? Well, they were really superheroes, and this was like a superhero show with them going against this big bad guy.
Definitely. And thank you for having me.
Yes.
Thank you, everybody.
Yes, be sure to subscribe to Mama/SoFab. She has her own reviews and coverage of other hacks and videos, health tips. She makes mashups. She makes a little bit of everything, so please go to her channel.
Come visit me.
Yes. And thank you all so much for watching. Join us for this last Superhero Month review. And hope you enjoy the remaining videos and possibly movie for Superhero Month as well.
Yes.
So thank you so much for watching. I'm Rascal.
I'm Mama.
Have a fantastic day.
Peace.